You said something earlier. You said people were telling you at the time when you were perhaps 37 and they were already calling you a success. And you said, but you must know yourself. Mrs. Owoshika, what does success mean to you as a leader?
Well, you see, it starts from you having a sense of where you think you're going. And because success is different to different people. And what satisfies some people is a starting point for some. So when people say to me, oh, are you retiring? I'm like, to do what? Because I don't even know what that means. I just know that if God allows you life and he hasn't taken it, it's because there's a need for it. And that means that what is the next assignment? And you see, in the life I've lived many lives in one life. I'm 61 now, but think about it. I built a manufacturing group over the last 35 years that is running without me for the last 12 years. I'm having a full corporate career that continues. And there's seasons of our lives that God uses the last season as the preparation for the next season. And if you say, I'm done, God, I'm not available, well, you might as well go home. Because what's the point? Do you think God is in the habit of wasting resources? But if you're not, then there are new doors, new places, new platforms, new assignments that I came in on Tuesday night, and Wednesday morning I was on the train to New York because I serve as vice chair at the global level for the Global Steering Group for Impact Investing in the World. And I'm chair of Nigeria, but the global body that drives it, I happen to be vice chair at the global level. And there's another global organization that drives the valuation of impact in the world, IVI, and I serve on that board. And a third one, which was set up by the British government under the G7 presidency, the Impact Task Force. I serve on all three. And they were having an event in New York at the Harvard Club to launch methodologies for measuring impact. And I was speaking on a panel as part of it. So another Nigerian that was there with me on that day said to me, you know, it's nice to see you as part of this. So I said to her, I said, you know, sometimes even when it seems like my plate is full, when I remember that there are not enough of us that have access to those spaces, and there's a need for our voices from the global south to be heard in those places. Thank you. I take the responsibility because you cannot complain about what you refuse to give towards. And if you are not at the table, the decisions will be made not out of wickedness, but because they don't know what you know. And if there's no one to make a case for your side of town, they will make what seems like a good decision, as it happens in every boardroom. I mean, let me give an example. If I sit at a board meeting in Cadbury and we want to talk about Bonvita, and if the entire board is all men and there are no women, really? Who buys beverages for the family? 80% of family grocery shopping is done by women. The men will make a decision that will sound right, but will not be right. But they would not have intentionally made a wrong decision. They would have made a decision based on their lack of knowledge. And so, a lot of critical world decisions are made. And if we do not have people at those tables, we suffer for it because we haven't positioned ourselves to sit at those tables. And sometimes things happen that take you in or out. And this is one of those God moments. When we had the First Bank drama, because I saw, and it was one of the most challenging things I'd ever gone through as a business person in my corporate life. But I'll paint two scenarios from my career in First Bank. So I remember in 2018, the Godwin Emefiele, who was governor then, invited the board of First Bank to come for a meeting at First Bank, CBN office in Lagos. We went, we had the presentations he wanted about what we were doing at the bank, finished. But obviously the whole meeting was a ploy for something else he was interested in. So he called me aside and said, Chair, make sure the MD gets a second term. So I turned to him and I said, Governor, I said, he speaks Yoruba, even though he's not a Yoruba man. So I said to him, Ejoema Dasi, please don't get involved. He said, I said, don't. It's the responsibility of the board to consider that this guy has created value in his first 3 years and make a judgment as to what the bank needs for the next 3 years and make a decision if he's the right person for the next 3 years of the bank. And he said, what do you mean? Is there something you know that I don't know? Even if I do, is he the one I'm going to come and tell? My responsibility is to the bank. So I said to him, it's not about that. It's simply that let the board do our work. He said, I said, yes. So obviously we drew a battle line. Now, let me explain that to you. As a Christian, aside from everything else, as the chair of the board, my responsibility is to protect that table. I had a responsibility to protect the institution and to protect my board. For me, just to conform and comply with him, which was the easiest thing to do, to have just say, okay, Governor, is that what you want? Yes. I would have betrayed my table because I have taken from them the power to make the decision. I sold the decision in advance for favor. So I must have the courage to look him in the face and say no, because that's the responsibility of my office. And so I did. I knew, yeah, we would have troubles, but it's okay. Multiple scenarios that you walk through. So when we get to the point a few years down the line when you say, okay, you know what, we need to change this guy. Because knowing everything we know, we had to go in a different direction. And they were fighting for something else. It's not the place to say the things. And we knew that. But our responsibility was to the bank. And therefore, we made the decision that was the right decision for the bank. Now, would I have made another decision just to keep a position? No office is yours except the Lord gives you the office. And if you will betray doing the right thing to keep the office, you're already in trouble. Because you will not survive in it. Ultimately, yeah, okay, so he misused the power of his office at that point. So what? So we left. But you know, all of the things I just talked about going to New York for came after. Yes. And when these processes were going on, the issue of central bank was a major part of the conversation. The British side did their due diligence. The American side did their due diligence.